Admiral James Stone stood at the large window of Earth's Defense Command Center, his gray eyes fixed on the holographic display showing the outer edges of the solar system. Something wasn't right. The readings had been strange for the past hour, showing energy patterns he had never seen before in his 20 years of service. "Sir, you need to see this," called out Lieutenant Mike Roberts from his monitoring station. "The anomalies are getting stronger. Whatever it is, it's big, really big." Stone walked over to the lieutenant's screen, his boots making soft sounds on the polished floor. The readings were off the charts now. Energy signatures were appearing all around Pluto's orbit, forming a pattern that looked almost like. The alarm started blaring. "Multiple objects detected," shouted Captain Lisa Green from across the room. They're everywhere, sir. Hundreds of them. No, thousands." The main screen lit up with countless dots, each representing a ship larger than anything humans had ever built. Stone's throat went dry. He had always known this day would come, but not so soon. Not when they were still testing their new defenses. "Get me the Global Defense Council," he ordered, keeping his voice steady despite the fear trying to crawl up his spine. "And somebody wake up the president." The next 30 minutes were chaos. Ships continued to appear in neat, organized rows, a clear sign of military precision. The alien fleet was massive enough to block out entire star systems from Earth's telescopes. Whatever was coming, it wasn't here for peaceful first contact. In the emergency bunker beneath Geneva, Stone stood before the hastily gathered Global Defense Council. Military leaders from every major nation sat around the table, their faces illuminated by the harsh overhead lights. "Ladies and gentlemen," Stone began, "what we're looking at is without doubt the largest military force ever seen in human history. Based on their formation and approach vector, this is an invasion fleet." General Hayes, commander of Earth's ground forces, leaned forward. "How much time do we have?" "At their current speed, maybe 6 hours before they reach lunar orbit." Stone pointed to the tactical display. "They're moving with purpose, but they're not trying to hide. They want us to see them coming." The room fell silent as the implications sank in. Humanity had achieved amazing things in the past century. Colonies on Mars, mining operations in the asteroid belt, even the beginnings of an interstellar program. But nothing they had could match the sheer scale of what was approaching Earth. The silence was broken by a sudden beep from the communications system. "Admiral," called out the communications officer, "we're receiving a transmission." "It's being broadcast on all frequencies, in perfect English." Stone nodded. "Put it through." The main screen flickered to life, showing the humanoid figure with features just alien enough to be unsettling. Its skin was pale gray, its eyes slightly too large, but it wore what was clearly a military uniform. "People of Earth," the alien spoke, its voice deep and confident. "I am Commander Marcus Rex of the Galactic Imperial Fleet. Your world has been chosen to join our glorious empire. Resistance is not advised. You have achieved enough technological advancement to be useful, but not enough to pose any real threat to our forces. Submit, and you will be granted the privilege of serving the empire. Resist." And the alien smiled, showing teeth that were too white and too sharp. "Well, let's just say we've had plenty of practice dealing with stubborn species." Stone watched the faces around the room. He saw fear, anger, and determination. Humanity had fought countless wars among themselves, but now they faced an enemy that threatened their very existence as a species. The alien commander continued, "You have 48 of your Earth hours to surrender. We expect your answer to be wise." The transmission cut off. Stone looked down at his tablet, where a message had just appeared from Dr. Anna Wells at Project Phoenix. His expression didn't change as he read it, but something like hope flickered in his eyes. The Empire thought they knew everything about Earth's capabilities. They thought they were dealing with a simple planetary civilization that would bow down before their superior might. They were about to learn how wrong they were. The Global Defense Council chamber buzzed with tension as Commander Marcus Rex's hologram appeared again. This time, the alien leader wasn't alone. Behind him stood a row of officers, each wearing medals that seemed to glow with an inner light. "Your time grows short," Rex announced, his voice carrying the confidence of someone who had done this hundreds of times before. "I thought you might appreciate seeing what awaits those who choose unwisely." The hologram expanded, showing a massive screen behind the alien officers. Images began to play. Planets turned to glass, entire civilizations reduced to ashes, worlds that had dared to resist the Empire. Admiral Stone watched without blinking. Next to him, General Hayes clenched his fists so tight his knuckles turned white. "We have conquered 1,456 worlds," Rex continued, almost sounding bored. "Some were more advanced than Earth. Some had better weapons, better ships, better soldiers." He paused, his large eyes scanning the room. "They all fell, every single one." The council members shifted uncomfortably in their seats. President Wilson, who had been silent until now, stood up. "And what exactly does surrender mean to the Empire?" she asked, her voice steady despite the situation. Rex's thin lips curved into what might have been a smile. "Reasonable question. Your military will be disbanded. Your industries will serve the Empire. Your people will be redirected to more productive purposes. But you will live. Most of you, anyway." Stone felt his tablet vibrate again. Another message from Dr. Wells. "Project Phoenix ready. Waiting for your signal." He kept his face neutral as Rex continued his speech about the Empire's glory. 20 years of military service had taught Stone how to hide his thoughts, and right now his thoughts were very interesting indeed. While Rex talked, Stone studied the alien ships visible through the chamber's window. They hung in the sky like steel mountains, blocking out the stars. But there was something odd about their formation, something that caught his trained eye. "They're arranged in defensive clusters," he whispered to Hayes. "Look at the pattern." Hayes squinted. "You're right. But defending against what? They clearly don't think we're a threat." "Exactly." Stone's mind raced. "They're not protecting themselves from us. They're worried about something else." The pieces started falling into place. The Empire's ships, their shields, their entire defensive strategy. It was all designed to counter threats they understood. Conventional weapons, known technologies. But Project Phoenix wasn't conventional. It wasn't known. It was something entirely new. Rex's hologram flickered as he reached the end of his speech. "We are not unreasonable. Submit now, and your surrender will be noted as cooperative. Continue to resist, and well." He gestured to the images of destroyed worlds still playing behind him. President Wilson looked at Stone. A silent question passed between them. Stone nodded slightly and stepped forward. "Commander Rex," he said, keeping his voice respectful, "we understand the Empire's power. We've seen your fleet, your weapons, your history of conquest." Rex nodded approvingly. "Then you understand your situation." "We do." Stone allowed himself a small smile. "Which is why we have a question for you." "Oh." Rex raised what passed for an eyebrow. "And what would that be? In all your conquests, in all those 1,456 worlds, did you ever encounter quantum displacement technology?" For just a moment, barely a heartbeat, Rex's confident expression slipped. His eyes widened slightly. One of his officers took a small step back, and Admiral James Stone knew they had a chance. "You have 1 hour to leave our solar system," Stone said, his voice now hard as steel. "That's not a suggestion. It's the only warning you're going to get." Rex's laughter filled the chamber. "You dare threaten the Empire with imaginary technology?" 49 minutes, Stone replied calmly. "That's what you have left to run." The hologram vanished. Through the window, the alien ships remained in position, their commanders no doubt laughing at Earth's defiance. Stone looked down at his tablet one last time, and typed a simple message to Dr. Wells. Begin. 10 years earlier. Dr. Anna Wells stared at the readings on her computer screen, hardly daring to breathe. Behind her, the quantum displacement chamber hummed softly, its inner walls glowing with a faint blue light. This can't be right, her research partner, Dr. Robert Gray, muttered as he checked the numbers again. Nothing can just disappear and reappear like that. It breaks every law of physics we know. Unless, Anna said quietly, we don't know all the laws. That day had changed everything. What started as a failed teleportation experiment had led to the greatest discovery in human history. They hadn't moved matter through space. They had moved it through quantum states, bypassing physical space entirely. Now, a decade later, Anna stood in the heart of Project Phoenix, deep beneath the Rocky Mountains. Hundreds of quantum displacement generators filled the massive underground chamber, each one capable of affecting matter at distances that seemed impossible. Admiral Stone's message flashed on her screen. Begin. She took a deep breath and turned to her team. This is what we've prepared for. Start the power-up sequence. The chamber came alive with energy. On screens around the room, targeting systems locked onto the Imperial fleet. Each ship was marked, its quantum signature analyzed and mapped. They have no idea what's coming, Robert said, standing beside her. Their shields, their armor, none of it matters when we can change the quantum state of matter itself. Anna nodded, remembering the years of secret testing, the carefully hidden successes. The world had been told that Project Phoenix was a new defense system. Only a handful of people knew its true nature. In orbit, the Imperial ships remained in position, their commanders no doubt preparing for what they thought would be an easy conquest. Their sensors would be looking for missiles, energy weapons, anything they understood. They weren't looking for the impossible. First target locked, called out one of the technicians. Quantum signature mapped and ready. Anna moved to the main control station. Show me the smallest ship in their fleet. Let's give them a demonstration. On the main screen, an Imperial scout ship was highlighted. It was still larger than anything humans had built, but tiny compared to the Empire's massive battleships. Target locked, the technician reported. Quantum displacement field stable. Anna placed her hand on the activation panel. Let's show them what Earth can do. She pressed down. For a moment, nothing seemed to happen. Then on the screen, the Imperial scout ship shifted. It didn't explode. It didn't break apart. One moment it was there, and the next, its matter had been displaced into a different quantum state. Where a mighty warship had been, there was now nothing but empty space. In the Global Defense Council chamber, Admiral Stone allowed himself a small smile as he watched the Imperial commanders react to their first loss. What did you do? Commander Rex's voice crackled through the communication system, shock replacing his usual arrogance. That's not possible. Our shields were at full power. Shields, Stone replied calmly. Your shields work perfectly well against energy weapons, projectiles, even most forms of radiation. But they can't stop what we do. Nothing can. You're bluffing, Rex snarled. One small ship means nothing. The Empire. Would you like another demonstration? Stone interrupted. Perhaps something bigger this time. He nodded to his communications officer, who sent a signal to Project Phoenix. Deep underground, Anna received the order. This time, she targeted one of the Empire's massive cruisers. The quantum generators hummed louder, more power flowing through their circuits. Target locked, the technician announced. Ready on your mark. Anna looked at the screen, at the ship that could have housed a small city. Remember this moment, she told her team. This is the day humanity shows the galaxy that size doesn't always matter. She activated the system. In space, another Imperial ship vanished from existence, its matter scattered across quantum states that the Empire's sensors couldn't even detect. And in the Defense Council chamber, Commander Marcus Rex's hologram showed something humans had never seen before on an Imperial face. Commander Marcus Rex paced in his command chamber aboard the Imperial flagship. His large eyes kept darting to the space where two of his ships had simply vanished. Not destroyed, not damaged. They had ceased to exist. Impossible, he muttered for the 100th time. Quantum displacement is a theory, a myth. No species has ever. Sir, one of his officers interrupted. We're receiving a transmission from Earth. On his main screen, Admiral Stone's face appeared. The human's expression was calm, almost peaceful. I believe we've proven our point, Stone said quietly. You have 45 minutes left to leave our solar system. I suggest you use them wisely. Rex slammed his fist on his command console. You dare to threaten the Empire. We have conquered galaxies. We have burned stars. We err. Running out of time, Stone finished for him. 44 minutes now. The transmission cut off. In the Project Phoenix facility, Dr. Wells and her team were preparing for full-scale deployment. The quantum generators now hummed at maximum power, their combined energy enough to affect hundreds of ships at once. All systems ready, Robert reported, his fingers dancing over the control panel. We can target their entire fleet if needed. Anna nodded, but her expression was serious. The bigger the target, the more power we need. Their capital ships will take everything we've got. Above them, the Imperial fleet began to move. Thousands of ships shifted into attack formations, their weapons charging. The Empire had not survived for 10,000 years by showing mercy to upstart civilizations. Multiple weapon locks detected, called out Captain Green from her station in the Defense Command Center. They're targeting major cities worldwide. Admiral Stone stood calmly, watching the Imperial ships maneuver. Send the final warning, he ordered. All channels, all languages. Around the world, every screen, every radio, every communication device broadcast the same message. This is Earth's final warning. Leave or be destroyed. You have 30 minutes. The Empire's response came in the form of energy beams that lit up Earth's sky. Their weapons were designed to penetrate planetary shields, to crack open worlds like eggs. The beams struck and hit nothing. Dr. Wells had been busy. While the Empire prepared their attack, she had used the quantum displacement technology in a new way, creating zones where energy weapons simply ceased to exist, their particles scattered across quantum states. In his command chamber, Rex watched in horror as his fleet's most powerful weapons had no effect. Launch fighters, he screamed. Launch everything. Burn their world to ash. Imperial fighters poured from the larger ships, thousands of them darkening Earth's sky. They dove toward the atmosphere, weapons blazing. Anna looked at her team. Time to show them what Earth can really do. She pressed her hand to the main control panel. Around the world, quantum displacement fields activated. The technology they had spent 10 years perfecting came fully online. In orbit, Imperial fighters began to vanish. Not one or two at a time, but in waves. Hundreds, then thousands of ships simply ceased to exist, their matter scattered across quantum states that the Empire's sensors couldn't even detect. Rex watched his tactical display in growing terror as his fighter squadrons disappeared. The humans weren't just defending. They were erasing his forces from existence. Full retreat, he ordered, his voice cracking. All ships, emergency. His words cut off as the quantum field reached his command ship. For a brief moment, he felt a strange sensation, as if reality itself was shifting around him. Then nothing. Admiral Stone watched from the Defense Command Center as the massive Imperial flagship vanished. Time remaining on their deadline, he asked quietly. 23 minutes, sir, Captain Green replied with a small smile. Stone nodded. Well, they can't say we didn't warn them. News of the Empire's defeat spread across the galaxy at faster than light speed. The impossible had happened. A single world, a mere primitive planet, had not only resisted the Empire, but had destroyed a third of their mighty fleet. In the Imperial Palace on the Empire's capital world, a high command gathered for an emergency meeting. The room was filled with angry voices and frightened whispers. 3,000 ships, General Dax shouted, his gray skin almost white with rage. Lost to some primitive quantum magic. This cannot stand. The Imperial Council's leader, High Commander Wells, raised his hand for silence. What do our scientists say about this technology? A nervous-looking scientist stepped forward, clutching his datapad. The humans have done what we thought impossible. They've weaponized quantum theory itself. Our shields, our defenses, they're useless against it. Back on Earth, Dr. Anna Wells and her team worked tirelessly to strengthen their quantum network. The first victory had been impressive, but they knew the Empire wouldn't give up easily. Energy readings from the outer system. Robert called out, pointing to his screen. Multiple ships jumping in, bigger than before. Anna rushed to her station. The Empire had sent their real fleet, the massive dreadnoughts they used to crush particularly stubborn worlds. Each ship was the size of a small moon, bristling with weapons that could crack planets. In the Defense Command Center, Admiral Stone studied the tactical display. How many? 5 dreadnoughts, sir, Captain Green reported. And something else. Something bigger. A new ship appeared on their screens. It wasn't just big. It was enormous. A vessel the size of Earth's moon, its surface covered in weapons Earth's sensors couldn't even understand. The Imperial Palace ship, Stone whispered. They'd brought their mobile capital. Dr. Wells' voice came through the communication system. Admiral, we have a problem. Those dreadnoughts, they're generating some kind of quantum interference field. They've learned from their first defeat. Stone nodded grimly. He had expected this. The Empire hadn't survived for 10,000 years by being stupid. Can you compensate? Yes, but it will take more power. A lot more. Anna's voice was tense. We'll only get one shot at each ship. The massive Imperial ships moved into position around Earth. Their weapons began to charge, the energy readings going off the scales. Attention, primitive world. A new voice boomed through all communication channels. I am High Commander Wells. You have damaged our fleet and insulted our empire. For this, your world will burn. We will not make the mistake of underestimating you again. In the Project Phoenix facility, Anna looked at her team. They think they've figured us out. They think their interference fields will protect them. She smiled. Let's show them how wrong they are. The quantum generators spun up to maximum power, their hum becoming a deep roar that shook the mountain above them. Robert's hands flew over his control panel, making final adjustments. Target locked on the first dreadnought, he announced. Quantum field is stable, mostly. Anna took a deep breath. This would be different from their first battle. The Empire was ready this time, their ships protected by technology specifically designed to counter quantum displacement. But they had missed something important, something fundamental about how Project Phoenix really worked. Fire, Anna ordered. The quantum displacement field activated, stronger than ever before. The Empire's interference fields lit up, trying to block the effect. For a moment, nothing happened. Then the first dreadnought began to shimmer. The Empire's quantum interference field held for exactly 3 seconds before failing completely. The massive ship vanished, its matter scattered across 1,000 quantum states. In the Defense Command Center, Admiral Stone allowed himself a small smile. Send word to the Imperial Palace ship, he ordered. Tell them this is their last chance to retreat. The battle for Earth's survival had entered its final phase. High Commander Wells watched from the Imperial Palace ship as another dreadnought vanished into quantum nothingness. His clawed hands gripped the command throne so hard they left marks in the ancient metal. Impossible, he snarled. Even with our interference fields. Sir, one of his officers called out. We're detecting energy buildups across Earth's surface. They're preparing another attack. In the Project Phoenix facility, Dr. Anna Wells fought to keep her eyes open. They had been running the quantum generators at maximum power for hours. The strain on both the equipment and the operators was enormous. "Anna," Robert said quietly, "the main generator is reaching critical levels. We can maybe manage 2 more big displacements before it burns out." She nodded, watching the tactical display where the remaining Imperial ships loomed over Earth. 2 dreadnoughts and the massive Palace ship were all that remained of the Empire's greatest fleet. "Admiral," she called through the communication system, "we need to end this now. We're running out of power." In the Defense Command Center, Admiral Stone understood the urgency in her voice. "The Empire's ships are moving," he reported. "They're taking up attack positions." The remaining dreadnoughts spread out, their massive weapons charging. The Palace ship moved behind them, preparing for what would surely be their final assault. High Commander Wells' voice boomed across all channels again. "You have impressed us, humans. No species has ever damaged our fleet like this. But now you will see why the Empire has ruled for 10,000 years." The dreadnoughts fired. Not normal energy weapons this time, but strange, twisted beams that seemed to bend reality itself. They had adapted their quantum interference technology into a weapon. "Multiple quantum distortion beams detected," Captain Green shouted. "They're trying to disrupt our displacement fields." In the Project Phoenix facility, alarms blared as the quantum generators struggled against the Empire's attack. Screens cracked, equipment sparked, and the whole mountain seemed to shake. "The generators can't take much more," Robert warned, his hands flying over smoking control panels. "We need to do something now." Anna stared at her displays, her mind racing. The Empire's weapons were powerful, but they had made one crucial mistake. They were trying to fight quantum displacement with quantum disruption. "They don't understand," she whispered. Then louder, "They don't understand. Admiral, I need you to get a message to that Palace ship. Tell them to stop firing immediately." "Why?" Stone asked, but he was already signaling to his communications officer. "Because they're not just disrupting our fields, they're destabilizing quantum space itself. If they don't stop." But it was too late. The Empire's weapons continued to fire, their distortion beams growing stronger. They thought they were winning, not realizing they were about to trigger something far worse. Anna's fingers danced across her control panel, making rapid adjustments, rerouting all remaining power to containment fields. "Robert, help me stabilize the quantum space around Earth." The Empire's weapons had created a cascade effect, turning their own quantum interference against them. The space around their ships began to twist and warp. High Commander Wells realized his mistake too late. "All ships, ceasefire. Seize." The dreadnoughts vanished, but not from Earth's weapons. Their own quantum disruption had torn them apart at the subatomic level. The Palace ship tried to retreat, its massive engines flaring. "One shot left," Anna announced grimly. "Targeting the Palace ship." Admiral Stone gave the order. "End this." The quantum generators fired one last time, their energy combining with the destabilized quantum space around the Palace ship. The massive vessel, pride of the Imperial fleet, symbol of their power for thousands of years, flickered once and disappeared forever. In the silence that followed, Admiral Stone looked out at the now empty space above Earth. "Send a message to all Imperial worlds," he ordered quietly. "Tell them that Earth is not to be threatened. Ever again." The Empire's greatest fleet was gone. Humanity had won. 1 year after the Empire's defeat, Admiral James Stone stood at the window of the newly built Galactic Council chamber in Geneva, watching ships from 100 different worlds drift peacefully in orbit around Earth. Each one represented a civilization that had broken free from the Empire's control after Earth's victory. "Still hard to believe, isn't it?" Dr. Anna Wells asked, joining him at the window. She wore the formal blue uniform of Earth's Science Division now, with stars on her collar marking her as its director. "That we went from a single-planet civilization to the center of galactic politics in 1 year." Stone smiled. Sometimes I have to remind myself it's real. The chamber below them was filling up with representatives from former imperial worlds. Some looked almost human, others were completely alien. But all of them were here because Earth had done the impossible. The quantum displacement network is fully operational now, Anna reported. We've installed generators on 20 former imperial worlds, with more requesting protection every day. Stone nodded. After the Empire's fall, Earth had made a decision that surprised many. They would share their technology with peaceful worlds, not as conquerors, but as protectors. The chamber's main doors opened, and Robert Gray hurried in, holding his datapad. "You both need to see this," he said, his excitement clear. "We just got word from the outer colonies. The last Imperial holdouts have surrendered." On his pad, they watched as the final Imperial warships powered down their weapons and accepted escort from Earth's new defense fleet. The empire that had ruled for 10,000 years was officially finished. "Representatives, please be seated," called out President Wilson from the Council Chamber's main platform. "Today marks a historic moment in galactic history." Stone, Anna, and Robert took their places as Earth's delegates. Around them, representatives from hundreds of worlds fell silent. 1 year ago, Wilson continued, Earth stood alone against what seemed like an unstoppable force. Today, we stand together with all of you, not as conquerors, not as rulers, but as equals. The chamber erupted in applause. Many of these beings had lived their entire lives under imperial rule, never dreaming of freedom. "The Galactic Protection Treaty is now in effect," Wilson announced. "Earth pledges its quantum displacement technology to defend any peaceful world that seeks our help. Never again will a single power be allowed to dominate through force." Stone looked around the chamber, remembering that day when the Imperial fleet had first appeared above Earth. They had seemed so powerful then, so unstoppable. But they had made one crucial mistake. They had underestimated humanity's capacity for innovation. "There's a ship requesting permission to dock," Robert whispered, checking his pad. "You won't believe who it is." On the small screen, Stone saw a familiar face. Commander Marcus Rex. The former Imperial officer had survived the final battle. His personal ship just far enough from the quantum cascade to escape. "He's requesting asylum," Robert explained. "Says he has information about other empires out there, ones that might make the same mistake his people did." Stone thought for a moment, then nodded. "Let him dock. The more we know about potential threats, the better we can protect everyone." As the council session continued, Anna leaned over to Stone. "Did you ever think, when you sent that warning to the Empire, that it would end like this?" Stone watched as representatives from dozens of worlds signed a protection treaty, pledging to stand together against any future threats. "No," he admitted. "I just knew we had to stand up to them, to show them that Earth wouldn't bow down to bullies, no matter how powerful they seemed." The sun set over Geneva, its light reflecting off the ships in orbit. Each one represented a free world, a civilization that would never again fear imperial rule. Humanity had not just defended itself, it had changed the galaxy forever. And somewhere out there, any other empires thinking of conquest would soon learn a simple truth: Earth protects.